Why do you want to be a student representative?
That is a great question, a very overall question. There's so much that can be changed at the college, and I think sometimes we become complacent and become okay with the standards we are living at. I want to challenge the standards, and I want students to have the opportunity to be part of challenging those standards that we're living with.
How are you involved in the Centennial College community? For example, are you part of any clubs or part of athletics, or do you do any volunteering, things like that?
So the latest thing I've done with the college is be part of the Centennial Leadership Academy conference that was held earlier this year. I was hosting the first day and I was co-hosting on the third day. It was a place where students can engage and students can have an experience to learn and go through a lot of leadership activities. Another activity that I was very heavily involved in was creating workshops with Sage. So we had workshops on presentation skills, and this workshop series ran for three different days, and we engage students in that type of active learning. I am also pretty active with informal events that are happening around the college. So students may have seen me in lots of different conversations with the Leadership Cafe, sometimes as a guest speaker at the Toastmasters Club, and as a listener with the peer listening program.
Very cool. So what do you think qualifies you for this position?
It probably has to do with my work ethics and the connections I have at the college. So I have very high standards for the way that I do my work. And as someone who is running for the vice president, I wanted to create specific goals for myself every week before getting to that position, hopefully getting to that position. So over the last couple of weeks, there are so many interviews that I've done with different personnels at the college just to get myself prepared, and a lot of research to collect numbers. I like my decisions to be based on numbers and to be based on facts and based on information that students are providing me for their experiences. So the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to get myself as ready as I can for that position once it comes on.
What would you say you're most passionate about? Like your hobbies or your interests or goals that you have, things like that?
Education. I've been working in the education sector for quite a bit now. I've worked with high school students, and now I'm working with post-secondary students. So the entire process of how a course is delivered is very interesting to me. And I think that at Centennial, we advertise these courses to be very, very cutting edge and for them to be ready for industries, but I think that there's a little bit of a gap. So a course may be designed, so a course outline may be designed to be super relevant, but how is it being taught? How is a professor teaching it? Are they using the most up-to-date material in teaching? All of those things I am really passionate about, and I want to challenge those standards. I want to create processes that allow more accountability in the way that education is delivered here at the college.
So you're running for the vice president position at Progress Campus. What would be your first priority if you're elected?
My first priority would probably be to understand how the decision-making process works between the college and the student association and what factors are involved in making that decision, and then to see how we can get students more involved and interested in those decisions. So these decisions are more overarching decisions, and sometimes I think students are not able to see the impact that these decisions will have on their day-to-day life or their educational experience. So I want to be able to present that to students in a way that will create that interest for them to be involved in this process as much as they can.
We've moved online. A lot of classes and a lot of events and everything is happening online. So is there a problem that you've seen with online learning or even before that you've heard from students for life on campus, and anything that you want to fix?
Yes, a lack of collaboration. I think when we were in person in college, for students who have been at the college, you might have been to the business school or to the hospitality area or the community services, and all of these little these areas almost feel territorial. And there's this concept where members of the community in certain areas don't feel welcomed or don't feel like they can partner up with others in different areas, and they are competing for funding and attention. But what if we can work on collaboration more? What if these different personals who all have the same goal of supporting student success, if they can share funding, or if they can share spaces and share ideas to work towards that student's success together and have all these minds together. And in online learning as well, we have students who are taking part of their course online for the theory part, and they're going in person for the lab part. And maybe these two courses are taught by two different faculty who are not communicating with each other. So creating a cohesive experience, whether it is online or it is in person, through collaboration of everybody who is involved.
What is your vision for the CCSAI, and how do you hope to help grow the organization?
It's a very ambitious vision. I want a student population that is informed of all of the decisions that are being taken place, that is involved with those decisions, either directly or through a representative, or through some type of engagement that is accessible to them. And the events that are held, I know political events and meetings are not intended to be the most fun, and generally when they're exciting, that's a bad thing. But I think we can do more to make them engaging and to make them more interesting for students to take part in.
So we talked a little bit about communication and making sure that students know what's going on. So what do you think we can do to improve the communication and the connection between CCSAI and our students?
I think, to be honest, and to involve students in the issues or the challenges that the student organization has, as well as celebrate the successes that it has had. So different decisions in the past that have had a good impact, I think a lot of students are not aware of those. So having more avenues to be able to share that and to celebrate that with the students that are impacted by these decisions or these challenges in decision making. So the food box, I know it took so long to get there and to be able to provide that service, but students don't know about all of the process behind it. They don't know how challenging it was to get that process down. I think if we share more of that with our students, then they will be able to see the organization in a more humane way and be more open to taking part in it.
What do you think some of the current important issues are at CCSAI, and what would you do to try to inform the student body about how these issues are being worked on or solved?
That's a really good question. And I am going to say I probably don't have enough information at the moment to be able to answer that. So during all of the interviewing processes that I'm doing to learn about the college and about the CCSAI, I don't have permission to be communicating with representatives at CCSAI. So that is something I still have a lot to learn about, and I'm excited to learn about it.
So can you give us a specific example of a challenge that you've experienced and how you handled it? It could be anything from a personal or an academic or even a professional challenge.
Mm, Probably being able to handle multiple things at a time. Um, time management challenges have become super important now with online learning, and when we have more flexibility over the things that we are doing. So to be able to keep up with all of the commitments that I have, I need to create blocks of time for myself. I need to create times when I am accessible in some spaces and inaccessible in other spaces, almost as if creating parallel versions of myself. And this has been incredibly challenging to maintain over a long term. But to be able to do it, I am having regular meetings with different support personals at the college. And these regular meetings help to keep me accountable and help to keep my motivation strong while I'm going through these processes, especially because my goals are longer term and I want to be able to sustain that momentum throughout the term of being able to complete that goal.